Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the INT Frieza Final 4 character. Just how good he is in DBZ Dokkan and 100% in the Hidden Potential system. So, Endless Terror and Power Frieza Final Form is one of the 40th anniversary manga characters. So there was a special summon for the 40th anniversary of the DB manga, the start of it all, and we received a batch of interesting characters, quite interesting characters that are, how can I say, very decent-ish, if you get what I mean. They're good characters, they had interesting animations, they are very much gimmicky. So they're designed around kind of like all working together as a team. But really it's very straightforward. Now, when we talk about the functionality of Frieza, he is a good unit. I think the key core component that a lot of these units face is the effect that their passive requirements have on them. So for all of them, they require Goku for some reason. Frieza doesn't feel that as bad as the others. Frieza's big difference with Goku is that he has 10% damage reduction rate. So instead of having 40% before Super, he'd have 50. And instead of having 70% dodge, he'd have 80. So it's noticeable, but it's not something quite significant. And I would honestly say that Frieza, out of all the units, which makes sense, I guess, but Frieza, out of all the units, feels the impact of not having Goku probably the least. Out of all of them. Otherwise, we talk about him. Obviously, he has all allies key +2, HP, attack and defense of 100% when team includes Super and Extreme class. Additional key +1, HP, attack and defense of 70% when team includes all 5 types. He greatly raises attack for 1 turn, causes premium damage to the enemy, and seals super attack. In terms of his passive, he activates the entrance animation when there is a Saiyan Saga or Planet Namek Saga category enemy, or Saiyan Saga or Planet Namek Saga category ally on the team, self-excluded at the start of the character's attacking turn. Attacking defense up of 150% permanently, and chance of evasion up by 40% to all allies. Attacking defense up 40% for 40 turns. Basic effects, key +2, attacking defense of 200%, medium chance of evading the enemy's attack, and when there's an enemy or ally whose name includes Goku, as mentioned before, he'll get 10% chance of evasion up and damage reduction up. Before receiving an attack within the turn, he performs a critical hit and has damage reduction of 40%. After evading an attack, he will launch 2 additional attacks, attacking defense of 100%, for every attack evaded, attacking defense up of 26%. In terms of his link skills, Prodigies, Whip and Masters, Universe's most malevolent, Shocking Speed, Strong Scan Space, Nightmare, and Shattering the Limit is going to be link skills. In terms of everything else, I genuinely think it's pretty good, honestly. I think, like I said, least affected by not having a Goku on his team. His big thing is that after those 40 turns, he's not going to be able to function as a first slot evasive tank. So Frieza's main functionality, or his core functionality, you want to use him as a first slot tank, evasive tank. He then dodges a whole bunch, and he's able to build up his attack and defense because of it. At such a point that the 40 turns fades out, his attack and defense is then so high that he can functionally tank it anyway. On top of that as well, obviously his evasion allows him to kick in 2 additional attacks, and also then, if he's not hit in the turn, he'll perform a crit. So if he's not hit by the time he fires his attacks, he'll crit, and if he obviously dodges an attack before then, he'll do 3 supers and crit. So for me, when I was talking about this build, definitely evasion feels like the best. You don't want to use this kind of event that disables evasion. Basically, it's just not really the best way to use them. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not suggested. So yeah, for me overall, that's definitely something to consider. With Frieza though, I think he's exceptional when his dodge can activate. His links obviously are pretty good, but also require you to put in a bit of effort. With my bosses, you need link level 10. Shocking Speed, you want link level 10. Universe's most malevolent, you want link level 10 to augment the damage, to augment the defense, to augment the key. to really keep Frieza ticking over, having a good time. So I do think that's crucial. At the Rainbow level, he performs pretty well. We see him cracking the 20 mil mark without Big Bad Bosses active. Eventually. I will say his defense feels like it scales up a lot better than his offense. There can be times where you feel like his offense doesn't really move and is more dependent on the amount of attacks he does in the turn because of the greatly raising attack for one turn on his super than it is dependent on his stacking. But again, just depends. Like, you're going to have turns much like Demon King Piccolo and Vegeta, where they rely on getting hit. He relies on evading, so you're going to have turns where he's going to evade 6, 7, 8 attacks. Then he's going to come out there looking huge, wham, in terms of defense. And then you could also have situations, much like I did when I was filming some footage for this video, where for the first couple turns he's like dodging one attack maybe. Either just not throwing them in his direction, or he's just, getting very unlucky and not dodging them. So it's just one of those situations where I think, the difference in the Frieza you see and I see could be very different based on one singular turn of a ton of attacks being dodged. And I think that is something important to take note of. Outside of that, as mentioned, he also has his damage reduction, so he's quite a good defensive unit. When you consider the fact that should he put up his defense, he does also have that additional layer of security that he could potentially implement. So I think that's pretty cool. All in all, I think Frieza is a really solid unit. I have zero reason to not like him. I think he's pretty good, and like I said, he's probably the unit that deals with best without having Goku. Yes, he does have a Saiyan Saga or Planet Namek Saga requirement, but honestly, it's not so bad. When you can really consider the grand scheme of things, it's honestly not so bad. So I think for me, he's definitely got scope to be used. If Wicked Bloodlines can get a good update, we can get 1 or 2 good Frieza units, or at least one solid Planet Namek Saga Frieza. You could see him linking with this guy, working very well with this guy, being a really fun combo to run, because you don't actually need Goku to run Frieza, which like I said, makes sense.